All right, guys, good morning. I'm sorry that this is not posted sooner for you, but we are going to jump right in. Today we are going to be discussing and reviewing the energy pyramid and how it is the perfect shape for showing how energy is transferred in a food web or chain. This week we are covering food webs, food chains, and energy pyramid, because next week you guys are going to complete each of those independently by creating a poster. So let's start with reviewing what an energy pyramid does. An energy pyramid is going to show or illustrate the energy that's available for consumers. And it's going to show that that energy is decreasing as it travels through each food chain. Only about what percent? Only about 10% of the energy in one trophic level passes on to the next. And that's because the energy is lost. It's used as plants and animals use that energy for life processes. So we say lost, but remember, energy cannot be created or destroyed. It's just used to do something else. It's changed to a different type. A lot of the times, organisms, especially warm-blooded organisms like ourselves, transform that into heat energy. Okay? So if we look over here on the side of our pyramid, we're going to kind of walk through each of these steps. Now, this level down here has the most biomass, which means that it has the most energy. Biomass is just that potential energy that's stored. And if we're losing, we're going to show that with a little arrow on the side. We're losing what percent at each level? 90% is what's lost. Okay, I can zoom in a little for you guys. So we're losing 90%, which means that what percent is carried on to the next level? Only 10%. So 10% is going to go up, and if we look at 10% of 1,000 kilograms, that's going to be 100 kilograms, which is what we have on our next level. We're still going to lose 90%, right? 90% is lost. It's used for heat, it's used for reproduction, it's used for movement, it's used for normal body processes, which means that 10% is going to move to the next level. 10% of 100, remember we're moving our decimal one place to the left, is 10. So we've got 10 kilograms of biomass of potential energy in the next level, which means that we're still losing 90%, right? Which means only 10% is going to travel to our top level, right? Our top level has only 1 kilogram left because 10% of 10 is 1. So we've only got 1 kilogram of potential energy left at the top, which is why top predators have to eat so much, right? Because so much energy is lost along the way. I want you guys to remember that this level of an energy pyramid has the least amount of energy and the least amount of organisms. The bottom level, at the opposite end, has the most energy and the greatest number of organisms. Okay? So bottom has the most, the least is at the top. Today we're going to be using several colors. We're going to be using green, purple, orange, and red. So we're going to start at the base of our pyramid, which is the producer level. So what color do you think we're going to start with? We're going to start with the color green, because most producers are green, because producers are able to capture and transform energy from the sun, radiant energy, into chemical energy stored in plants. This is our plant energy, our biomass, our potential energy through the process of photosynthesis. Okay, and if you don't have
colored pens like Miss Young, that is okay. We could just box this in green and give it that pop of color to help us remember. You can shade your box in green as well if you have colored pencils to help you remember that this information is going to go with our producer level of our pyramid. Okay, so over here in our base level, our largest level with the most energy, we're going to have green plants. And we're going to just list some examples. We can have things like grass or flowers, seeds or nuts. If we're in the ocean, we might have phytoplankton or seaweed. We might have cactus if we're in the desert. Right? There's lots of different options. Is this the only set of producers that we're going to have? Absolutely not. And you're going to get to explore your own version of a food pyramid next week. All of the food webs and chains are going to start here. Okay, they're going to start with a producer. So we can go ahead and shade our box green. Where does the energy that supports this level come from? The energy that supports this level comes from the sun. So if you want, you can draw your little sunshine in here. Okay, and if we were to number this trophic level, this would be trophic level number 1. Okay. Now don't forget to shade your side over here so that you remember there is important information over here as well that you need to remember and pay attention to when you're creating your own food pyramids next week. Okay. All right, so we're going to be switching from green to purple for our primary producers. So primary producers are going to be on the second tier. Did I say producer? I meant consumer. Primary consumers. Consumers are organisms that eat those producers. Okay, so primary consumers are animals that eat plants. At this stage, these are herbivores, right? And they're called primary because they are the very first level of consumer, right? Not the first level of the pyramid, but the first level of consumer, the first organisms that eat something else, the first heterotrophic level. These are going to be herbivores, right? These are organisms that eat plants. So, what are some examples of herbivores? We could have deer or rabbit, some types of birds, right? If they eat seeds and nuts. You can have big organisms like cows or elephants. You could have insects like grasshoppers. You could have caterpillars, which turn into butterflies, right? All of those are herbivores. All of those are primary consumers. Remember, all of these organisms eat plants. Okay, and if we were to number this trophic level, we've got our number 1 level of producer, and then we've got our number 2 level of herbivores. So we can go ahead and shade our boxes so that it helps our brains remember. Purple for primary consumers. Primary consumers eat plants. These are herbivores, and they are very important to that transfer of energy, right? Because they're going to take that plant energy and turn it into energy for them, for reproduction, for survival, all of the things that organisms need to do. Okay, we're going to switch to orange for our next trophic level. Our secondary consumers And our secondary consumers are animals that are going to eat other animals, right? We call them secondary consumers because they are the second consumer, right? These consumers eat plants. These consumers are going to eat the consumers that eat plants. A lot of secondary consumers are omnivores, meaning that they're going to eat both plants and animals. And so these are going to be either an omnivore, or they can also be carnivores, right? It just depends. And sometimes what's in this trophic level might be in this one, right? It just is always going to be the same? No, it's going to be based on the order in which organisms are consumed in a food chain or a food web. So these can be things like frogs, some birds, right? Like chickens, or insect-eating birds. These can be snakes, some types of fish, right? And if we were going to number this, this would be the third trophic level. It's our second consumer, but it's our third level of our pyramid. These organisms, it's very important to remember, eat primary consumers. Okay, so we're going to shade in our box with orange to help us remember that all of this level information is together. Okay, remember, they have to eat more organisms the farther up the pyramid they are, because that energy transfer is not efficient, right? It doesn't transfer well from one level to the next. Lose a lot of energy for processes like digestion and movement, looking for food. All of those things require energy, so at each level we lose some. All right, for our top level of this particular pyramid, we are going to use red for our tertiary consumers. Tertiary is a word part that means third. So this is the third consumer. Is this the third level? No, because this is our 1, 2, 3, 4th level of our pyramid. So this is the highest level of this particular pyramid. Can we have a pyramid that goes higher? Absolutely, right? So every pyramid is going to be different. Tertiary consumers are going to be top predators. So that means they are animals. And that means they eat secondary consumers. They are at the very top of the food chain. Okay, so we can box this part in. These tertiary consumers are at the top of the food chain. This includes humans, right? It includes organisms like sharks or alligators. Okay, these are going to be carnivores, right? So we're going to shade that box in to show that energy level. And don't forget your side over here, because that transfer of potential energy, transfer of energy through that food is shown on the side. Okay. All right, you can feel free to decorate your energy pyramid a little bit more if you would like. Just a reminder, this level is our producer level, right? The most energy, the most potential energy is here. We lose 90% at each level. We carry on 10% through each of the food webs, right? We lose 90% here. Carry it up 10%. We lose 90% of that 10% here, and it makes it so that energy transfer is very inefficient. That's why top predators have to eat a lot, and plants are constantly given energy from the sun, right? Most energy, most organisms at the base the least amount of energy and the least amount of organisms are at the top.
I hope that that helps you guys understand those energy pyramids a little bit better and gives you a resource you can use next week when you're creating your own energy pyramids. Have a great day.